Alrighty.
Yep.
Welcome back to another Workout Wednesday WOD. I'm joined by yours truly, Zach Colangelo.
Mike, thanks for having me.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. So today we're pretty excited. We're going to be discussing how to look as jacked as possible for that next vacation, that next wedding anniversary, that next major life event that you have. And we're going to do it from the lens of the nutritional context. Zach and I are going to cover different areas regarding this topic. So I'll bring in some fine-tuned variables in case you're already pretty lean and you want to make yourself look that extra 5% better. And then Zach will probably share some stories on how he's gotten leaner for major life events as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is the topic that people are thinking about, especially as we approach the summer. It's starting to get warmer. It's mid-April. It's pretty relevant to me right now because I'm competing in a bodybuilding show in 2 days. So I've kind of lived through that this process the last week or so. So excited to share.
Cool.
But yeah, if you want to start.
Yeah. So looking better for different life events, vacations, maybe a wedding, honeymoon, whatever it may be, right?
Yep.
So personally, I try to split my year up into three kind of parts, from September 1st to about March 1st, maybe February 1st, somewhere in between the start of February or the end of February. I try to mass, so I bulk. I try to gain some weight relatively slow, half a pound to about a pound and a half a week. Goal is to build muscle, and then I do probably 3 to 4 weeks of maintenance. After that, kind of give myself a little bit of a diet break or a bulking break, maintain the weight, and then from the end of March to beginning of April, I will start to lean out anywhere from 10 to 16 weeks. I've varied it throughout the different years. This is my 5th year doing it now. And then until like end of June, early July, I will then kind of maintain. I'll hit my low body weight that I'm happy with, depending on how I look, body fat percentage, just like visual cues and visual, just looking in the mirror or taking progress pictures. And then from July to back to September, I will maintain and give myself a little diet break. Now, conversations I've had over the past years is people are asking me, is it intentional? I see a difference. You look a little bit leaner in the face. My mother says she notices it the most in my hands and my face. So I guess people ask, why do you do it? And plain and simple, I want to try to build as much muscle as possible in the wintertime and then be a little bit heavier, but the same body fat percentage, if not a little bit lighter. In the summertime for the lake house, we're traveling a lot more. You have your shirt off a lot more, and you just want to feel better, look better. And my personal experience is just all personal. There's no goal in mind. I'm not prepping for a bodybuilding show. I'm not trying to lose weight to meet a weight for powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting. There's no performance, I guess, goal tied to the body composition change, the fat loss change, other than just looking a little bit better. Now, performance does go up. It makes it a little bit easier for me to do body weight movements like pull-ups, muscle-ups. I tend to ride my bike a little bit more. I run more. So I do feel a difference from when I'm like mid to high 190s in December or January to when I'm mid to low 170s in June. So we've mentioned in previous kind of Wednesday Word Wads where a way to improve mobility is to lose weight.
Yep.
And so that's a big thing that I've noticed, and just being able to move not only just it for a specific exercise, like getting deeper into a squat or hanging from a pull-up bar is improved, or a certain type of chest exercise where the stretch is very intense, but more so just like jumping from one place to the other, running, biking, and moving in the sense of just in space has become easier cardiovascularly wise.
Yeah, no, I love the approach you take where if you try to focus on maintaining or trying to stay the same structure year round, you're not going to get as far when it comes to building strength. More so, though, building muscle. So you can build strength at calorie maintenance or even in a deficit. That's pretty well documented. But for building muscle, there has to be times of massing. It doesn't have to be, but it does make it easier. And by doing cutting periods, it kind of resensitizes you to those massing phases, and then you've done a good job taking the muscle, and you're pretty good at everything. So it's kind of cool to hear that process. Um, for me, so I'm going to take a different lens or a different, not perspective, but slightly like more aggressive approach. So let's say you want to get as shredded as possible for the beach, and you're already shredded, and you want to bring that best look possible. I'm just going to touch on what to do there. So typically, what I would recommend is give yourself 6 weeks, be in a huge calorie deficit, maybe 1,500 calories. You could do this by increasing the steps. You have to train really, really hard. The training is going to potentiate muscle protein synthesis, help you retain that lean tissue. And this is unsustainable, but this is the approach if you want to look as good as possible for the beach for that one time where you're there and no one notices you. So anyways, let's say you did 6 weeks and you were in a 1,500 calorie deficit, which is quite extravagant. That would put you at about 3 pounds lost per week, which you could lose 18 pounds. If you lose 18 pounds in that period of time, people are going to say, what is wrong with you? That's okay. So cardio, typically really high, training really hard. This is unsustainable. Now, where it gets fun is what you can do the final week or so to really potentiate a greater look, a look that will make you look as good as possible for that one day. Now, if you're not used to hard dieting or doing something like this, I definitely don't recommend it. You don't have to do this. If you're used to dieting, you have lots of experience, and you're highly inspired, motivated, disciplined, you've practiced behavioral patterns of intent in the past that have led to success, maybe this could be for you. Maybe. But anyhow, with those caveats, the final week when I'm doing this prep, and I think it's worked very, very well, and I'll just get to the science a little bit real quick. Starting out on Sunday, show is Saturday. So starting on Sunday, I started water loading. 3 gallons of water per day. That's based on how much I weigh, approximately. And then I'm also doing about 10 to 11 grams of sodium, 5-ish, 6 grams of potassium. Within your muscle cells, you have your sodium-potassium channels. You need enough sodium, enough potassium to pull water into the muscle. Sunday through Tuesday, what I'm doing and what you could try, based on the literature, it seems like it could be advantageous, is do a fat load. So with a fat load, you can fat load up to about 2 grams of fat per kilogram of body weight. So for me, I weigh about 95-ish kilograms. I think I weighed at like 208, 209 today. So 95 kilograms. So for me, I could do about 190 grams of fat on each of those days. I went a little bit conservative this show prep and did like 130, 140. Almost zero carbs. And then again, high water, high sodium, high potassium. What this does is the first day or two, you might start to look bloated from the high water, high sodium, but then your body has positive, really powerful feedback loops with your natural diuretic hormones where you start to normalize that high sodium, high water. And by going high fat, your muscle can actually store triglycerides. It's called intramuscular triglycerides. There's some animal research that shows that when rats were given a very high fat diet, up to about 2 grams per kilogram of body weight, they were able to store 1 to 2% more triglycerides within the muscle and create like a 1 to 2% more visual effect with their muscle temporarily, which is kind of cool. Now, what also is powerful about this is if you were doing a very aggressive diet going into this, your fat was probably pretty low, so you're going to be super sensitive to triglyceride restoration within the muscle. From there, it seems to make sense to do periods where you break off the fat loading with the carb loading. you're able to get a little bit more fat load into the muscle this way, and then a little bit more glycogen load into the muscle this way in layman's terms. So Wednesday and Thursday, let's say the beach is on Saturday. Wednesday and Thursday, you can go up potentially to about 14 grams or so per kilogram of body weight in some folks, which is ridiculous. So what I'm doing is I'm going up to about 900 to 1,000 grams of carbs. I'm not going quite as high as I could, keeping the water, the sodium high. Most of these carbs should come from starchy carbohydrates, ones that replenish glycogen or glucose, because those are going to be more better stored in the muscle. And then I recommend having a lot of them be potassium based, because again, we want that ratio of sodium potassium to pull water into the muscle. So currently carbing up right now. It's Wednesday, filling out, which is kind of cool. Thursday, doing the same thing. And then Friday, day before the beach, you might look a little bloated in the morning. That's totally cool. Your muscles are stored. Your muscles are full. This is what you want. From there, around, if you're going to the beach at noon, probably around 2 p.m., I would just start sipping water, not a whole lot of water, lower it to maybe, I don't know, like a much lower dose than what you were doing before, like 25% of what you were doing during the water load. And then also decrease the sodium, and then increase the fat. So you'll be able to then increase those intramuscular triglycerides, and then the higher fat with the high protein on this day will give you a slight diuresis effect. So you're able to get rid of some of that subcutaneous water while keeping the muscles full. I should note, during the high carb days, probably want to go down by about 25% of your normal protein intake. It'll make it easier for your muscle cells just to soak up glycogen. Less of a diuresis effect. And then on Saturday, you're about to go on the beach. I recommend maybe every 2 hours or so, have some carbs, have a little bit of water, have a little bit of protein, potassium based. And then this is where it's weird, but an hour or two before you go on the beach, you just dieted hard, you just trained really hard. Have something sugary, fatty, crunchy, salty, something you enjoy, like McDonald's. Kid you not, this works. You'll fill out. You're going to look much more full on the beach. And you'll also have a little bit of energy, so you can go enjoy the beach when you're like chasing around your friends and trying to get the attention of people that you want to get married to. And they probably don't want to get married to you. But if you want to really try that move, you're going to want some energy to get your game up. So, yeah, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, something Chinese takeout, sugary, fatty, crunchy, salty right before you go on the beach. This will bring your best look. You'll look crazy. It does take a lot. This would be for someone that's an experienced dieter. This is how I prep for shows, generally speaking. There's more nuances. We can get more specific with numbers based on how much lean tissue you have, what you were doing in context before, etc. But this approach works. It's fun. It is harsh. It is not sustainable.
No, definitely not sustainable. Need to preface that again, that this is to prepare for a special event, a life event, whether, like I said at the beginning, a wedding, going on vacation. So like, you want to look your best after however long you dieted, and you want it to show, and this is how you can make it pop. And so that water and the bloat isn't there under the skin. It's all that glycogen and water's in the muscle.
And then to put in perspective, if you train really hard, you can actually like gain some fat-free mass during this process. So I did this prep in about 10 weeks. My body fat, according to DEXA, dropped about 10 percentage points, and I gained 5 pounds of fat-free mass compared to where I even like started this process.
That's crazy.
Which is kind of nuts. So yeah, I lost 10% body fat and gained 5 pounds of lean tissue. So it can be done. It just means I was probably doing a lot of things not as well as I could have been at the end of my mass, aka I did like a strongman comp. So I was sensitive to muscle building training and better dieting. But yeah, that's the information for today. Do with it as you so choose, please. We got some fun experiential knowledge and then a little bit of science. So appreciate y'all turning in. And yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.